This is it. This is definitely it. So welcome to the, hey guys, welcome to this next video of Buster Quest, which is going to be about something pretty special, and it comes in this gigantic box. This was put on FedEx's, the shipping label was printed out on January 5th, and then 5 days later they went and picked it up, and then over the course of 3 days it shot across the country from Chino, California, East LA essentially, I mean it just boom whacked across the country, and it got to Connecticut, walked to Middletown, Connecticut, and then it sat there for 3 days. No reason. And then after those 3 days, well, then it kind of made its way up here to New Hampshire. And then it got delivered. And here it is. So when you first open up this box, of course, you open it up, and then there is another box inside, which is the one you see right there. That one. And when you open it up, you see this box. And of course, you open it this way, and it says, please open from bottom. Now there was a plan to this. Much like how Phoebe's mom was saying, and he had a plan. So essentially what that was what was in here was right side up to begin with, and even inside of this box it was right side up. But what they did was said on the top of the box said, please open from the bottom, and there was a reason for that. Essentially, you would open it up from the bottom, and then the purpose of it was to make you slide it off the inside box. So we've got the product box inside of this box, which then went inside of this box. So the idea there was to protect the box. From my observation, they wanted to protect the product box as much as possible from any damage in shipping. Because we all know that shipping couriers can be rough. So, of course, I've taken it out, and I'm keeping these boxes. So, why don't I go get that box, and we can see what it is. And here it is. This is the inside box. This is the product box, and it's made to look like a storage trunk. The artwork on it is absolutely amazing, and you can kind of sort of see on the very top a Ghostbuster symbol. What is this big that would have to need a box this big? Well, that would be, as it says on this artwork right down here, it says it's the Egon Spengler Proton Pack, and that's what it is. So we've got the trunk, we've got the caution tape, and right up on here we've got this thing. It looks like it's a thumbprint reader for a trunk. That's cute, but the Ghostbusters weren't into biometrics back in the 80s, or in the future for that matter, even at the time of the Afterlife film. So, it's cute. It's a nice little piece of artwork, but it's wrong. But, I digress. Anyhow, this is the box that contains the Proton Pack, which we will get to. I am going to be doing a show and tell. Now, out there have been a number of videos where people have done unboxings and stuff like that. I'm not doing an unboxing, I'm doing a show and tell. Because, you know, I've already taken the pack out. It's actually not in here because I can lift it just fine. And I'll talk about the weight of it and stuff like that as we get closer to it. But we've got the top box here, and you know, you open it up, and you know, it doesn't end there. You know, the nice artwork and everything. You get this artwork on the top, and on the inside, you get this. And what this is, why don't we go to Jared? He works in art, the art department, I think, and he kind of describes this of what he believes it should be.
Without further ado, here's the inside of the box. So inside this box, you're presented with Egon Spengler's workshop work table.
No. If you watch the film, or if you have watched the film, this is actually a recreation of the floor in the living room of the house, of Egon's house in Somerville. And, we'll talk about this. I'm going to be changing the position of the camera so that you get a better view of it. And I'll also have a little better audio because I'm directly connected to the computer right now, and the audio is not the best. So I'll switch it over to the camera and switch the camera angle, and you can see this a lot better. And here we are. So this is that floor piece recreation of sorts. So when you first open the box, this is what you met with, and over here I haven't opened it, but this is, and I'm not going to open it, but these are instructions on how to use it. Now, for the sake of, the little kids of 1984, for the first film, stuff like that, there's a little nod out to them, which is partly myself included, who opened up instructions for toys when they were little? Seriously. So, I never did. I just opened it up and figured it out. So, that's what that was. Now this, I'll talk about that in a minute, or a few minutes, but that goes over there. And then in here. Now this right here is like in the movie, on the floor, Phoebe has to figure out a floor puzzle in order to get what she discovers is a trap, a ghost trap in the floor. They kind of recreate that here a little bit. So, got this portion over here. It's a little raised up, it slides, and there's a convenient little bit of art here that has an arrow that points in that direction to have you slide it. So that helps, to be like, hey, take this, move it that way. Of course, it doesn't actually say, hey, take this and move it that way. It just points in that direction. So it's there to help with that. It's a visual cue to slide it. So, the folks that may be directionally challenged, it helps them out a little bit. So you slide this over, and it unlocks this center flap, because you got a couple of tabs here that slide underneath. And you open that up, and the artwork continues right underneath. And inside you've got a box here, and you have a box here. This is, as they say on it, phantasmical samples, potentially sentient, handled with extreme care. Now, what's in here is not potentially sentient. Even if it was like real and authentic, it wouldn't be potentially sentient because of what it is. And we'll come back to that trap box in a second. But, I did open this. And inside, we have, paper. A paper envelope. What could be inside the paper envelope? Now, why are they using paper? Well, let's see. I would think they're trying to be a little more green, use something that's a little more like biodegradable, and you know that's honorable and everything like that. So it's nice to see they're actually using paper, or it has a very paper base. I do see a little bit of gloss on it, so you never know exactly what additives are added onto the paper. Probably to make it more resilient and stronger. But inside you have this stuff. This is supposed to be marshmallow goo or melted marshmallow. And you know, if you bought this within the first 24 to 48 hours, I believe, and you happen to be a Hasbro Pulse Premium member, you got a version of this that's translucent green to make it look like slime. But everybody who ordered this got this stuff. And you know, you can dress your proton pack with this. But like a lot of other people, you know, I am not a fan of that. It's a nice, cute thing for the kids, and you know, let them have fun with it. Whatever. Me, I don't bother with it. You know, and talking about, like, you know, being fun for little kids. On the box over here in that corner, it has an age, 14 plus. The movie has a problem with that.
Whoa. How'd you know how to fix it? I mean, no offense, but you are 12.
So, yeah. So that's interesting. This is a toy. This has to be used by anyone 14 plus, yet Phoebe's 12 and she's using the real thing, and a lot more dangerous. And so what does that tell me? Lawyers. Legal. Anyways, back to this. We take out this box and it looks like a trap. Well, it looks like part of a trap. If you look at an actual trap, you have a handle on it that you would hold on to that sticks out here, and of course you'd have the pneumatic line going out to the pedal that you would use to force it to pop open and shut. Well, this would be the inner portion. There is no outer sleeve, so that makes sense that this would only be that inner portion, the actual trap itself. So inside the box, you know, you've got a little bit of green in there to be like, ooh, it's kind of Ghostbuster ghosty. And then we have inside some more little paper bags, and we have little mini puffs. These are, you know, these are basically repaints of the Plasma Series mini puffs that are for sale that don't have the toasting. So for the sake of the proton packs, they went through and they did a little bit of a repaint exclusive for this pack run that they did. So, and these are, now from my look at it and everything, these are to scale, and there's 3 of them. There's one, there's another, and I got one more right here. And there we go. There's 3. Perfect amount. And, you know, they all have different heads, and the heads are interchangeable because you've got 3 additional heads that come in little baggies off to the side. You know, and they all have, you know, so you have 6 different expressions, 3 different bodies, and you can switch out the heads. So that's a nice little touch. And these are, I believe these are 1-to-1 scale because, you know, Gary Gruberson poked one, pop, you know, when he was first being introduced, and they were very happy. So the heads that I've got on here right now are happy smiley face, a little bit of a surprised one. He's like, ooh, and this one here being a goofball, because that's what I am. I am a goofball. Now that finishes what's inside of here. So we can close that, slide that back over, lock it, you know. And, you know, I've seen people in unboxing videos where they took this section and tore it out expecting to see something in there. It's like, and I saw that and I'm like, well, I saw the 1027 video and I know that there's nothing under there. Obviously, you didn't, according, you know, that's what I'm thinking. But that takes care of what's up on here. Now, I'm actually going to remove this and put it off to the side. And that would typically expose the proton pack directly underneath it. But what I did was, you know, the proton pack would be underneath it. There'd be a heck of a lot more paper, which is actually down below here right now. And there's also some corrugated cardboard spacers to, you know, packing material, you know, corrugated cardboard to protect it and keep it from getting damaged. So, and so what I'm doing is I'm actually using those to actually put up against the sides so I can put this box on top, because this box is typically way down at the very bottom. And over here in this corner, it says the Stantz Spengler Nuclear Accelerator Storage Stand. Now, that contradicts how it was described on the website, on the Hasbro Pulse website. They describe the stand as the Supernatural Stand. And then they put this name on it. What is that all about? Anyways, so this would be on the inside. But if we were to open it, actually I shall remove this and we'll take a look at it separately. So here we have the inside of below that box, just to show you real quick. You know, there's a couple of these little box spacers. In videos I've seen, people are actually taking these apart and open them, and it's like, there's a vent hole right here. Why don't they just look inside of it and see there's nothing in there? Beyond me. Whatever. Here's all the paper that was used to pack the proton pack. And the proton pack actually came with these straps. Now, these are really nicely done. It's good quality, very good webbing, and the stitching is very nice, and they do use decent, you know, holder, stirrupy thingies, whatever, you know, that you would find on belts and straps of backpacks and things like that. And this is very good. It's in the olive drab, stuff like that. This comes on the pack automatically, so you could actually take it out of the box, throw it on right away and wear it. But for those that like the Alice backpack frames, you know, to have a little more comfort and a little more stability and such like that, you take these off, which is very simple. You just unthread them. And you just throw them back in here. This is that packing material I was telling you about. Super corrugated. I mean, we're talking a good inch right there. And it's also a hexagonal, and it's very strong. So I'm using it as a packing spacer for the sake of the boxes. All right, so here's that bottom box I was telling you about. So if we open it, here we go. Inside of here, over on this part here and here, is the Supernatural Stand. You know, and this is very good plastic. It's very nice, very rigid. This is what the display stand for the Neutrona wand should have been as far as material goes. You know, look up there and you can see that video. And this is very, very tough, very strong, and it's great. However, I can't use it. And the reason why would be is because I want to preserve the collector value of the entire unit. And here, and to further describe that, is that this is so strong and so rigid that when you put it together, you have to use a lot of force for the clips, which are all part of the same material. It's all part of the same assembly. It's so strong that once they clip on, they're not coming out. So as a result, I can't use it. I'm not complaining about it. I'm not worried about it. And then over here in this box, you get the hose. Excuse me. You get the hose that attaches to the pack to the Neutrona wand. And you also get a packet of different things. One of the things is the brackets for mounting an Alice backpack frame to it, and that's down in there. Here's some more of the parts that I saved from those straps, and then of course inside of here you get what is, at this point it's famous. It's the orange tip that you would put on the front of the Neutrona wand for the sake of legal. This just screens, lawyers and legal. To be able to go out to the cosplay and it says, "Hey, I'm not a gun." Most people are taking this and they're just flicking it off and being like, pointless. Which in the practicality of it, yes, it is pointless. But I do see the legal ramifications. But of course, that it just screams to me, hey, we don't want to be liable, so we're not liable. If you don't put it on, that's your fault, not us. Whatever. So, but anyway, that's put on there. That's that. And this envelope would be right here. Inside this envelope, we have a couple of things. We have clean stickers, which would be used to convert your Proton Pack to the 1984 version using clean stickers, because the stickers that are on it are the Afterlife stickers, and which has weathering printed on them when they printed those out. And then inside, who remembers Trapper Keepers? I remember those. We've got stickers that can be slapped onto those puppies. We have both the original Ghostbusters and we have Afterlife. So take those and stick them on your Trapper Keepers. So, try to find a Trapper Keeper today? You're really not going to find it. So, best of luck. Got everything back in here. And of course, I forgot to put this back in. But this is the Egon Spengler Journal. Originally, put in that it was 16 pages long, and then later on they discovered, hey, why don't we make it 32 pages long? So we got 16 sheets in here, so because it's printed on both sides of everything from Ghostbusters 1 through Afterlife. There's the 2016 film is a separate universe of sorts, so it's nothing about that is in there. This is strictly all of the OG or original Ghostbusters, and and the odd thing that was in here is that this talks about Ghostbusters 2 stuff. It talks about Vigo and the slime. When Jason Reitman was going to go do the Afterlife film, Ghostbusters 2 never happened. And that is very apparent because the Ecto-1, the car, is the 1984 car, not Ecto-1A, the 1989 car, which was a completely redone. Ghostbusters 2 is a bubblegum comedy. They were conscious of what they were doing, and it shows. like I mentioned in the previous video regarding the Neutrona wand. And of course, they stuck it in here. Let's talk about Vigo and everything like that. And that was completely unnecessary because, so this contradicts the narrative. So there we go. So why don't I put this away and I go get the proton pack itself, and we'll talk about that. And here we are. Here's the pack. So Hasbro did a magnificent job on this. Now they advertised that they scanned the hero pack from the film, the one that Phoebe used. The one that she used when she tested out the pack, and not the one that she worked with in the storm cellar, because that's what they called it. Well, they called it something else, but they called it the basement. But it was actually the storm cellar because they're in Oklahoma, tornadoes. So Hasbro did a fantastic job on this, and when they did the work and everything like that, they kind of weathered it. They aged it more so than they weathered it. The weathering is very, very minimal. Basically, how this comes out is you get a good look at it, and when you look on close inspection, it looks like it got power washed. Because 30 plus years of grime and dust and dirt and stuff like that gone on these things in the story. And then, of course, it looks like Hasbro took the thing and they gave it a power wash because it is clean. But you see weathering the aging effects. You got dry brushing in different spots, and it looks like they may have taken a Sharpie in one spot, and some dry brushing in other spots, stuff like that. But this thing is in really good shape. And it looks fantastic. It's very interactive, so the user can actually interact with the parts. Up here is the ion arm, which is originally inside of that bottom box, with the cap and the hose. And that's for the sake of shipping because this thing sticks out. They didn't want to damage it, so it just pops on there and it holds. And this, it's got 2 or 3 posts that hold this in nice and snug. Folks that like to do modding, I'll talk about that different, but you've got the wire loom here, you got some wires poking out of there, you've got these copper lines down here that are all from the, this is from the Afterlife mods, and there's some other hoses and stuff, like this yellow sheath here, this was added as an update to the pack itself. And interesting story about this rail cover thingy. I can't remember the name that they used, but these 2 pieces here, in the prototype there were rectangular rails, but upon being shown the prototype a year ago, Adam Savage looked at it and said that these couple of pieces here were actually Ticonderoga pencils, and that the castings actually showed the logos from those, and so that was actually kind of really cool. And then when you look on this one here, it's been returned to the shape of those pencils. So that is a nice little piece of detail that Hasbro got right. So that is fantastic. And you got the crank box up here. This is your volume, so you turn to the right to turn it up, and you turn to the left to turn it down. And down underneath here is a vestigial switch. And I've seen videos where people go in there and they knock the switch back and forth, and they're like, it doesn't do anything. It's vestigial, meaning there's no purpose. The story, from what I've seen, is this is where the prop guys put the switch originally, and Jason said no. In the first film, in the elevator, Ray says to Egon, switch me on. He reaches up and he flicks a switch and it powers up. And then, of course, being concerned, they back off. But Jason said, okay, that's what they did. I want to switch in that spot, which is right up back there. And it's right there. And they actually show it in the movie to make sure that, you know, because it's part of the scene. And that has an effect. That's actually the power switch for this pack. And if I flick it, and there we go. And you can kind of hear it there. It's just using the onboard volume and stuff like that. I'm going to turn it down. So, and we can see the cyclotron here. You know, you see the lights circling, stuff like that. This is the Afterlife prop. Not the actual prop. This is just the HasLab product for Hasbro Pulse. But you know, it's got some very nice details. This actually comes off, and I'll turn it back up. And, you know, this ribbon cable is connected here, and we have 2 spring-loaded switches. You squeeze them together, and you lift it up, and it times out, and you get that little alarm. There is a version from 1984, but this being the get that back in there. No, it actually shut off. Of course, you know, the power's still on because you can still see up there. That's still going. Yeah, I'll shut it off. And we'll get this put back in like that. And pull this back out, and I'll get that plugged back in. There we go. You know, so we've got that, and that's a neat little thing. And if you turn it on and off a number of times, you get an Easter egg sound. In the Afterlife mode, you get the little mini puffs going, you know, and you know, doing their mischievous stuff. But in the 1984 version, which I will not be switching this to, but there's a switch to get the 1984 lighting is on, which is on, switch, 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 not swirl. And you can get the, you know, the on-off Easter eggs, and you can also hear Slimer, you know, everything like that, you know. But I'm not going to be switching it over to that, but I'll show you where you go to do that. And you know, you can actually remove the cover to the cyclotron, and this is where I've seen in different videos where the person doesn't think that this entire portion is a cyclotron, which it is. The entire portion of this part of the assembly is the cyclotron. If we take this portion here, we unscrew it, and we slide this out. This is called the shock mount. Get that. It's catching on something on the inside, so I'm not going to worry about pulling it out all the way. But this assembly here is called the bumper, and this slides right on out like that, and then the cover is available to remove, and of course, you know, it's catching. Oh, that would be why. Excuse me one moment. So you get out you take out the shock mount, which, you know, this portion is plastic. The rod, that's metal. So, put that aside. Got your bumper, you put that aside. And then the cover is like this, and you just remove it. You unplug this hose, and it reveals the inside of the cyclotron. And if we look here, we've got the inside of the cover, and we've got, you know, just like in the film when Phoebe was working on it, we've got, you know, the CRT emitters, which are these little round parts, and those can just, you know, you just twist those out, and then you've got 4 things here, so that when this is off and you switch it on, it doesn't do anything. It won't turn on unless this is actually making contact with this section here. So, so to talk about people thinking about the cyclotron not being this whole thing, they think it's just this guy here. You unscrew this head nut, which is brass, and you slide this out. People are saying that this is the cyclotron, or they believe it to be the cyclotron. Wrong. It's the entire assembly, because you've got the coils, you've got the, these field coils here, stuff like that, or the proton generation coils, whatever, and then you have two switches up here. The bottom one controls the rumble motor, which everybody complains it sounds like a cow. Yeah, I'd say that is substandard equipment. So I have it shut off, and I'm not going to be doing anything with that. If anything, I would replace the motor more so than anything. I saw a video where a guy actually succeeded in that, but he doesn't give any other information. Oh, it shouldn't sound like a cow, moo. It should, and then it should be like this. And he demonstrates it. Fantastic. What's the make and model of the motor? That's what I want to know, so I can switch it out. Whatever. So, the guy's a donkey. And then the upper switch is the which film mode. It currently it's in afterlife mode, so it's switched up, and if I switch it down, you hear that sound, which means okay, now it's in 1984 mode. Well, I'm not going to be demonstrating 84 because this is an afterlife pack, so I'll switch it back, and there we go. And the detailing inside the cyclotron is fantastic. And I see that people are going in and they're painting everything. They're painting this portion here, which is called the barrel element. What the purpose of a barrel element serves in cyclotron, I don't know. I haven't actually looked at what a cyclotron is all about, but they do exist. But this is a miniature cyclotron, and Phoebe asks,
How on earth did you build such a small cyclotron? Got it. You're a genius.
yeah, he's a genius. All right, so this portion here is somewhat solid. There is a way to get it out, but it's just there for looks. And we can just slide this back in. We take this this top nut and we put that on, screw it on. Make sure it's nice and tight, and it is. And of course, this can move, but the top of the nut is threaded for the threading on the shock mount, because this actually goes down through and then it threads into this nut to hold on the bumper and the outer casing. So we'll put this back on. And the bumper is the guides for the sides. You've got one that's keyed, so this can only go in one way. So you get that, you slide that back in, you screw it in, and it is all back the way it was. Now you can also see that I've got my neutrino wand up here on the V-hook, and everybody that I've seen, they put the thing on, and they're like, oh, they take it off, they do their thing with it, and then they try to put it back on. Now, when in the movies, whether it be 84, 89, or even 2021, that they actually put it back on themselves? Nobody does. It's not meant to be put back on once you take it off. That's why on the wand, and I'll take it off so I can show you, that's why we've got this extra hook right here. That's so that you could hook it onto your belt, because you're not putting it back on by yourself. So anyone that tries to say, oh, I need to put it on myself, and then they use magnets, good, fine, do it. Go with what works for you. If you want to go for accuracy, you're not going to try to put this back on by yourself. So I've got the wand here back on, and of course, it's not the, I've got my additional grip down here to make it more like the 84 pack to a degree. and that's just for authenticity to an extent, because the update they did for Afterlife was turning it into a shotgun pump grip, and I think that wasn't necessary. But at the same time, like I was saying, Grace McKenna, she has small hands. So, yeah, who would want small hands trying to put their fingers through the little finger loops here? That's little. Not me. So it makes sense. Okay, and one last bit about the vestigial switch. They put that there from another video that I saw, that they decided to keep that in there so that if anybody wanted to do a mod, they could do the mod and use the switch as the switch functionality. From what I take it, you've got the switch, but that's it. You've just got the actual toggle portion. You'd actually have to put in your own actual switch, which would go inside of that from the backside. I do have to confirm that because I will be doing a mod where I do have to remove the motherboard, which is basically the backboard of it, and and so in regards about modding, it's like, as far as the collector market goes, any collector, that's serious about the collector market, the collector market wants something original. They want original equipment, original finish, original everything. Collectability. This was sold at $399.99, I believe, or $95. Under $400. When it's that close to it, yeah. What's this thing about rounding and math? Anyways, this was a crowdfunding campaign. Some people say Kickstarter, some people say GoFundMe, stuff like that. No, they didn't do that. They did their own crowdfunding through the website for Hasbro Pulse. So, so they sold 19,061, and that is directly from the Hasbro Pulse website, because it actually shows the status of it. And you had the four tiers, unlockable tiers. So after so many orders came in, you got something extra, and the total that would be needed was something like 13 or 14,000, and they blew that out of the water. They had 19,061, and and they were sold. And there was this one guy doing a mod, and he cooked it. He cooked from what he was doing. He was trying to do something with the soundboard. Now, the actual electronics board for this is all of that square, and it is located right up in here somewhere. And he was doing something, and he thinks he fried the sound chip. And then he's like, well, I'm not concerned. I bought 5, and he points the camera, and you see the other 4 up against, up near a shipping center, or a door inside of his shop warehouse, and and it's like, it's like, for the folks that buy all these stuff like that, that guy was talking straightly from, it was disposable income, I don't care. That's what I got out of it. And I'm just like, there's only 19,061 of these out there. Granted, Hasbro had additional ones made that they're holding in-house for their purposes, to have them on hand should they need them. And they're probably holding the early ones, so let's say serial number 22001 or 23001, made in 2022, 001, the first one made. I don't think they're going to send that out to anybody. I think they're holding it. But that's just me. Why would anybody want to do that? Oh, this is the absolute first one, it's going to be a long time before that gets bought by somebody, Case in point, the first Mustang. End of that story. And, serial number for this guy is 22511. So this is the 511th one that was made in 2022. And it's on there. And these things are serialized. So there's a record number of which one exactly that is made. And, in regards to the collector market, there's a value with serial numbers. So the lower the number, the higher the value. So that's another reason why, when it comes to modding, you don't want to go damaging this. And that damage in the collector market means anything. Damage in any sense. And that damage can be anything. Actually, removal of things, the changing of things, such like that. Unless, of course, you've gone through the effort to preserve the original part, But people are coming on here and they're going at it with rub and buff. They're going at it with paint, going at it with dust. They're hacking and slashing the thing physically to make mods and stuff like that. I just happened to see one where a guy was doing something where he didn't actually have to cause any damage whatsoever. He added a speaker, and I've actually ordered the same speaker because I'm going to mod the sound so that this actually has a beefier, heartier sound to it without actually damaging it. It's like, I'll have to solder on a couple of wire points on it, but when you're using these existing parts and you're using the existing solder, that's not damaging it, you're adding to it. But he went through and, he more than likely soldered it on, fantastic, doesn't damage it. But then where he keeps it is over here on this side, this is the, they got a funky term for it, but it's basically the power cell chamber of sorts, even though from what I've seen, this is also a power source up here for the carbon-14 isotope fuel rods, which goes this entire length. But over here, this is where he's got the speaker, which is a fantastic spot. But what did he do? He dug. He said he was going to. He might drill through it, but if he drilled through it, he did a really, really bad job of it, because I just saw a video where he was doing something else regarding this light right here, this blue light, and you see what he did, and he gouged a hole out of it, and it is a mess. There's parts of plastic everywhere. So he really damaged it. So there's a lot of value decrease as a result. And, for the collector market. And, and what I'm going to do is, there's a wall back there, and there's two screws. You untake those screws, and it just slides right out. And then you've got a hole that goes into the main cavity of the pack. And if I've got that speaker and I've got it pointed in like that, the sound is going to come out of this. It's not going to be shooting that way. It's going to be coming out of this portion. And and that's one of the things about this vestigial switch, is that it's on a portion that would be fantastic for a speaker, where it'd be shooting down, and it would be fantastic. But because that switch is there, you can't do that. You got to figure something else out. Hence, using this box here, taking the motherboard off, do my little thing in there, unscrew those, slide that piece out, and I'm good. And then I can take that part, put the screws back into the posts in here so I don't lose them, and then I can take that plastic piece and I can put it in the box, nice and safe. And and then it can be put back on later, and the collector value, it's not diminished at all. And it's like, and then people do, they switch out all these hoses to something a little more real, because they need real parts. Hey, if you need real parts, go for it. That's your expense, and you may not care about the collector value of the item. Just remember, there's only 16,061 that are sold out to these. So it's like, I've got that, and it's like, am I going to switch any of this stuff out? No, I'm not going to. Am I going to switch out these connectors? No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to switch out these connectors for real ones, because that would also involve drilling out, cutting off. Am I going to stick little things on here to make it look like a little more real and more authentic? No, I'm not going to bother with that, because I'd be actually sticking like copper tape around these little connection points and stuff like that, and that actually is causing damage. So am I going to add paint? No, because that causes damage. Adding paint is damaging the product. So I'm going to just keep this as stock as possible, and any added mods that I do and stuff like that, I'm going to be modding in a way that doesn't cause damage. And we're going to talk about the Alice pack, but just talk about this portion is excuse me. This is the not the battery cell. This would be the power cell box or whatnot. You push on this and it unlocks it, and you can actually bring it down, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 posts. Then you could actually take your little mini puffs and you could stand it on this, and then you could stick it back up inside, whatever, stuff like that. Make sure it's got a happy face on it, because just like in the movie,
those are the Gozerian.
And so, and you can see that wall portion here a little bit. If I turn to get the light a little better on, you can see that this wall piece right here will actually, I take out 2 screws and that'll slide right out. So, and then I can take my Go, was it a Go 2, number 2 Bluetooth speaker, sit in here, and it sits in there perfect, and it closes up. It's small enough. It's almost as if it was designed to go in there. Granted, it wasn't, but it seems like it. So there. And on the back of it, of course, we have my Alice frame that you've seen in the short and such. There goes my iron arm. Here it is. So it just popped out just because I leaned it up against the couch. But here's my Alice frame, and here's the hardware for it. And the interesting thing about the Alice frame is that when you look at it in the film, you see a very noticeable gap. That's a good probably 2 inches from the distance that you're at, but you don't need it that far. But this frame here, the way they've got it designed is that you've got a tall one, a medium length one, and you got a short one. And what this does is that it actually causes a sloping effect where this portion is actually up against the pack itself, whereas in the film is not like that. And asking why, it just screams lawyers at me. It's just that. Because, I aced physics way back in high school. I aced physics because I love it, because everything's done, it's all algebra, and that's not that difficult. And when you think about the center of gravity, now when you have the pack on, with the proper spacing, of course the center of gravity is going to be a little further back, outwards, away from your back. And of course, someone may not be strong enough to have the pack on for an excessively long period of time, and they might get weak and they might fall back. And of course, someone could go, "Oh, well, that's Hasbro's fault because they made a pack." So what did they do? If you put a slope on the Alice frame angle, stuff like that, you can actually bring that center of gravity closer to the body, and your center of gravity is closer to your actual body's center of gravity line. So you've got this, and now you've got this. Something that would be out like this, separated out like that, and now you've got it out or separated out like this. So you got a less of a chance of being top heavy and falling back and hurting yourself. So I've got on order. I ordered a spacer from a gentleman by the name of Chris Bosch, and it does the job. It actually takes this top one and actually lifts it out to the distance where it should be. One caveat though is that it doesn't bring out the center, so I've actually got spacers coming for that, and it's actually spacers for the center area and up here, but I only need this portion of it here for these side mounts. So, and what that'll do is that once I've got the spacers in, I'll actually have that distance, not the 2 inches like they've got on, well, 1 or 2 inches, 1.5 inch they've got like in the film, but I'll have that noticeable gap, and it's a little more screen accurate. And of course, that is a mod that doesn't damage the unit, and here's why. All of these portions here on this hardware is that these screw holes are they're pre-sunk with the screw mounts inside of this motherboard. So, and then over here we actually have where you put the batteries. You unscrew it, it pops off, and you put in 4 D-cell batteries, D-cells. So of course, everybody's been complaining about it. When was the last time I needed a D-cell? My boombox back in the 80s? Well, yeah. But, and today, what are D-cells most commonly used for? Mag lights. The cops use them. There's applications for them. And the D-cell dates back to the 1800s. It has its uses. And, and you need to use the power value in order to power not just the pack, but, the Neutrona one as well. Because the hose here, which is what comes with the pack, excuse me, actually comes out, and actually provides power to the wand. So you've got the pack and the wand that you need to provide power to. And if anyone who knows anything, even school child level electrical engineering ish kind of thing about what kind of batteries do you need for certain applications, would understand a D-cell makes perfect sense. Well, why can't I just throw a C-cell in there? Look up the differences between the C-cell and the D-cell. Yeah, they're both 1.5 volts, but you've got more amperage, you've got more kick, and they last longer. And there's a multitude of different things surrounding that. So, what else did I happen to buy from Chris Bosch? I bought these couple of things, these little strap covers, the strap hole covers, because the original strap holes, as you can see right here, here are the original strap holes down here. And, as far as like practicality of wearing it for cosplay or stuff like that, it doesn't matter if these are there. People aren't looking, at your stomach or anything like that. They're looking at the pack. So the holes are up here for the upper shoulder portions, and they're exposed. And these are 3D printed covers that just snap on. So I bought those from Chris Bosch. They're fantastic. So, and, it achieves that goal, and it doesn't cause any damage to the pack. Collector market, hello. So, there we go. So I got the spacers coming for the Alice frame. This is an Alice, it's an acronym. But, and I used to, a few days ago, I knew what the different letters stood for, but I can't remember them today. But there's that. But this thing makes wearing this thing very comfortable. It's fantastic. And of course you can see my little modification up here where I added this pipe insulation with a couple of pieces of duck brand tape, fabric tape, and of course make it look outdoorsy. It's kind of like the outdoorsy camouflagey kind of print on it, because New Hampshire. Got to make it look New Hampshire in some way, shape, or form. And and it goes on there, and it doesn't have to extend all the way to the end. People are doing that. That's fine. Just go ahead and do that. Me, it's just like, where do I need it? At my neck. So I apply it to my neck. So that is my show and tell of the Hasbro Pulse, HasLab, Spengler's, was it Plasma Series, Spengler's Proton Pack. One other modification that I'm going to be doing is, of course, you've got this sheath right here, this yellow. And of course, this isn't correct, this is wrong, and stuff like that. I mean, I don't really care about it that much, but, it'd be a mod to kind of make it look a little more authentic, is, getting a yellow one with, I believe it's got a single black threading or black web that goes through it, blah, 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 and that I can put on. And I'm going to. And, I don't cause any damage to the pack. I think collector value. I can just unscrew this clamp here, take out this ribbon cable, which is not real ribbon cable, it's just injection mold. But I can remove that, remove this hose. I can slide this off and slide on the other one and then put this clamp back on. And there we go. And then I can take this one and I can put it in the box. Just like I'm going to do with the inside of that power cell thing. I'll just slide it right on off, throw it in the box, and it can stay there. Protect, preserve the collector value. So that's what I'm doing. So that's what I'm doing there. And it's like, am I going to paint anything on here? No, that damages it. Painting is damaging. So, enough about that kind of stuff. And people were talking about, the hose and the connection point, being like, oh, I'm losing power and stuff like that. You just got to make sure, you put it on right. It is keyed, so it does only go on one way. Put this down here. But, you got to make sure that the collar is screwed on tight. So, if you're losing power when you're taking this off, or you're trying to power it up using this and it's not working, make sure that connection's tight. It's as simple as that. So, and, if they're like, yeah, I do that, but, it's like, you can do that, you can say that all you want. They wouldn't let it go unless, of course, it tested and passed testing it out and making sure it works. And then letting it, putting it in the box and shipping it out. So, just gotta make sure that collar is screwed on tight. So there we go. So that's about all that I can provide on this show and tell, and my plans on what my mods are going to be. And just to let you know about this ion arm, this is real metal, and if you want to get specific, it's real brass. I can tell. It's like if you're one of those types, you can taste it. Taste a piece of brass, and then taste this. It's going to be the same. If you know what characteristics you're looking for, you can tell. You can actually taste the difference. It's like Adam Savage when he was talking about the Neutrona wand, and he's like, oh. And he lifts the Neutrona wand up to his nose, and he's does kind of like a smelling action on the tip of the Clippard valve. He's like, oh, that's real metal, that's real aluminum, and everything like that. He can smell the characteristics of aluminum. I know the smell of aluminum because I know what it smells like. Because I can tell that kind of a thing. And that's brass. I can smell it. And it's like, and it's not the actual metal itself. It's actually the I don't want to say tarnishing, but it's kind of like that. You can almost smell the tarnishing. It's got a very distinct tarnishy kind of smell to it, and it's great. So when I actually had this thing, it's like, okay, I want this thing to age naturally. I just took my finger, rubbed the side of my nose to get some of the oil on it, and I rubbed it on. I rubbed it onto the metal. And I'll just let that oxidize and tarnish on its own. So, it's like, it's stupid stuff like that. And not everybody can, but a lot of people can. So that's what I'm going to be doing there. So that is my show and tell of the Proton Pack. the Spengler's Proton Pack from Hasbro Pulse. And I love this thing. And Ben Eadie told Adam Savage, when he was showing him, he's like, you know, put this on and don't smile.
Do it and not smile.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, yeah.